Hello, it's Mary Killmon again. I'm going to make some vegetable relish today. Normally I make pepper relish. At Christmas time I made a bunch, but I wanted to use things from my garden and I didn't have enough peppers to make pepper relish, so I decided to throw in all the other vegetables that were growing out there. You use an old-fashioned meat or food grinder so that you get nice cubes for your relish. Something like that's probably good. Let me show you the meat grinder. Okay, this is the meat grinder. Okay, so what you want to do is make sure you've got your vegetables. Oops, lost a carrot there. Just pretend I washed that off. It's going to get boiled in vinegar and sugar for a long time and then put in sterilized jars, so I think it's okay. Anyway, so you cut your vegetables up into small pieces like this. You're going to tuck them down in to the grinder, kind of on the sides of the blade in the middle, and then you start cranking. It's going to make a giant mess. You want to make sure you have a really wide catch pan for all the cubes, and then also a bucket or a giant baking pan or something on the floor. Push flush up to whatever your grinder is fastened to so it catches all the juice. It will make about a gallon of veggie juice, which then you can use as soup broth. Last time when I did pepper relish, I used all the pepper and onion juice to make a really good noodle soup. It was awesome. So you just kind of have to use a little force. You have to guide everything with your fingers. It's not really an automatic deal here. And you just keep doing this for a really long time until you're finished with the whole entire pile of vegetables. And then everything after this part is pretty easy. Okay, I'm all done grinding. It took me about an hour and 15 minutes. This is the mess I made. That's all the juice. You can see where it ran all down the cupboard. This is the grinder now that I'm done. Oh, and I had to add a secret ingredient while you weren't looking. It was celery. I put 3 celery ribs into the mix because the recipe usually calls for celery seeds, so I figured I'd add celery stalks. And here's the relish. Now I have to pack it with sea salt and let it sit overnight. Okay, today is Sunday. Yesterday I made the relish and left it sitting overnight in a giant jar of sea salt. And this morning I've drained it, rinsed it and drained it. And I've already started sterilizing my jars, my mason jars, just in a hot water bath. I let it boil for a bit and now I've just got it simmering. And you're going to need some tongs to get those out, of course. Okay, I don't have much time. I've got somewhere to go today, so I'm going to go through this kind of quickly. You can follow a recipe. I didn't measure anything else, so I'm just going to kind of put some sugar and put some vinegar and put some spices in there and hope it works out. Here's the relish. Didn't make quite as much as I had hoped it would make, but still a good amount. Just going to dump that in the pot. And make sure you get all of it. You don't waste anything that you worked really hard to dice up. It's the carrots, onions, peppers, tomatoes, and the secret ingredient was celery. Okay, I'm going to put 2 cups of sugar in this to start. Well, there's not much sugar left in here. I'm just going to dump the rest of the sugar in. And I'm going to go with 2 cups of vinegar. This is distilled White House vinegar. I think that's the kind you're supposed to use. Maybe you can use apple cider vinegar, but I'm going to use this. And just another little splash for good luck. Okay. Got some mustard seed. I'm going to put about a teaspoon of mustard seed. And then a little more. That should be good. About a teaspoon of turmeric. Heavy teaspoon. I wouldn't have thought that turmeric was in pickle relish or vegetable relish, but all the recipes I looked up call for it. So, and I always put celery seed in my pepper relish. I did put some celery stalks in this recipe, so I'm going to go with a little less celery seed than it normally calls for. So I'm going to go with a scant teaspoon. All right, we're going to turn the stove on and bring it to a boil. Bring that to a boil for about, I don't know, 20 minutes. I'm going to keep an eye on it, keep stirring it up, and when that's done, we'll put everything in jars. We're almost finished. Thanks. Okay, so there's the relish just simmering and boiling into a nice thick relishy sauce. And it's just about ready to take off the heat and start spooning into the jars. So I'm going to do that now. Just wanted you to see it bubbling. It smells really good. And now I think I know why the turmeric is in the recipe. It gives it that yellowish color. Okay, I'm going to turn that off. Our jars are ready. And I did something kind of weird. I put cloves in the water that I'm sterilizing the jars in. Partly because I like the smell and I wanted the house to smell good. And I didn't think it really hurt the jars, so there wasn't really any good reason for it. It's not going to help the recipe. So anyway, we've got a nice hot jar. And get a wet, thick washcloth. And you want to make sure you don't spill any of this on your skin. There's the relish. You just spoon it into the jars. You want to leave about 1.5 inches from the top so that the relish has room to expand. One time my mom was making peach preserves and she filled them really close to the lid in the top, and in the morning when we woke up, a couple of the jars had exploded and there were peaches hanging from the ceiling, peaches all over the counters, peaches everywhere, and it was a very sticky mess to clean up. So anyway, that's the relish. It looks really good, and you want to make sure that your lid is nice and clean. Then you take sealer, which is also in the boiling water. Take your lid ring, and you don't screw it down all the way. First you leave it on there nice and loose, and it's going to make a suction as it cools. It's going to suck the seal down tight around it, and then after you hear the pop sound that it will make, you can go ahead and tighten the ring around the lid. And that's it. That's all there is to canning things. Which I don't know why they call it canning. This is more like jarring. So anyway, it's done. Vegetable relish. And that's it. I'm done. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Bye.